Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Paul, the Canadian Snowman, here once again with our next episode of the 30 Years War. Yes, the Battle of Jankau. My God, these names, man, I'm horrible. I apologize through all these series because I can't pronounce nothing right. But yes, we basically just left off where a battle basically it just ended, and then we weren't led on to anything more possibly. But what was that guy's name? Like the French leader, Conde. I think it was Conde. I might be wrong here, but uh, he led a battle. He was trying to get after the Catholics, and he wouldn't give up. You get props for that. He would not give up, but he lost a lot of men to the point where he lost so many men. He just really couldn't continue the battle and kind of had to retreat. So. Um, One second, my computer's making weird noises. I'm gonna play. All right, sorry, sorry about that. But yeah. So I don't know where it really leaves us going forward because this like Protestant Catholic war has been like so back and forth, man. Pretty incredible, pretty awesome actually. Uh, so you know, so that pretty much gives the Catholics the momentum because they held them off. They killed more men. So now we're just jumping 1 year. It's only 1 year. So are these two leaders that just fought gonna fight again? And like just a different stage, like just a different area and all that stuff, different battlefield, whatnot. So I'm very interested to see, if we get the same commanders, or we get, maybe a couple of new guys rise up to power, maybe, or promoted, or however that works. We're gonna see if we get a new battle here. Like I said, I don't even know where this place is. Like, who knows? We might get like a totally different, maybe a different area of the battle. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, but we're gonna jump into it, guys. Please hit that like and subscribe, and let's jump into it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. And yeah, 3, 2.
The epic Battle of Freiburg in 1644 showed that the Holy Roman Empire still had enough strength to defend against the Franco-Swedish alliance, but the empire was getting low on resources, their allies were leaving their cause, and their enemies were on all sides. A new Swedish offensive in 1645 proved able to push the Habsburgs to.
It does seem like I don't know, like the Catholics seem to be having like game and more enemies are building up against them, man. It seems like in the beginning of the war, the Protestants didn't seem like too much of a threat, but it seems like as the series goes on, uh, you know, they keep getting like I don't know, their army seems to be the allies or army whatever you want to call it, I guess. It seems just to be, even after they lose, it seems like someone else steps in. So, they're not going away. They just seem like they keep, I was just saying getting more power. I guess it would be kind of get more powerful, not even after loss. I don't know what I'm saying, but, the Protestant, cause, support, I'm just going to say, has grown. Even after the losses, the support has grown. And, I think from the earlier years, I think the Catholics have kind of like lost, the power, the big power I thought they had at the beginning, Anyways.
A new Swedish offensive in 1645 proved able to push the Habsburgs to their limit, as the brilliant commander Lennart Torstensson was eager to outshine even his late king Gustavus Adolphus. The Battle of Jankau was a great chance to prove if Torstensson had what it takes to do just that. Although the Bavarian leader prevailed in the Battle of Freiburg using his defensive skills, Mercy's indecisiveness gave the French commanders the opportunity to recall most of the nearby garrisons, and within 24 hours, more than 6,000 men were marching to join them. The Bavarian commander probably knew that the enemy would be shortly reinforced and decided to retreat. His army still lacked horses, so retreating into the open would have been dangerous. Simultaneously, the French might have gone for Mannheim or Stuttgart, and losing these cities wasn't an option. As a result, on the 7th, Mercy moved to a more defensible St. Peter Valley. The French received their reinforcements the next day, and started chasing the Imperials on the 9th. However, due to lack of knowledge of the terrain, the French advance was slow, so Condé sent General Rosen and his cavalry to cut the Bavarian retreat. On the 10th, Rosen almost succeeded in doing that, but the slowness of the extremely tired French infantry didn't allow Condé to build on Rosen's actions. By the end of the day, Mercy broke through the French cavalry and was in Villingen. Condé stayed in the area for a day, taking the imperial outposts, and as Freiburg's strategic importance was lower than that of the regions of Baden and Württemberg, the French began their march north. Mercy changed his trajectory and started moving parallel to them. However, he was still wary of the enemy cavalry, and therefore moved with caution. This meant that he was too far away to do anything when Condé besieged Philipsburg on the 25th of August and took it on September 12th. This threatened Stuttgart and Mannheim, which forced Mercy to get closer to the French and start building fortifications at Neckarsulm. Condé possibly thought about attacking, but winter was coming, so the campaign of 1644 was over. To the north, Torstensson was preparing for the campaign of 1645. He now had around 16,000 troops and an agreement with the French and Transylvanians to attack Vienna together, while the Protestant minority in Upper Austria was asked to revolt. It was expected that this four-pronged attack would finally break Habsburg resistance. The Empire's situation was dire. Denmark left the war and was negotiating with Sweden for a future treaty, which meant Torstensson was free to attack. Gallus's action basically destroyed the Imperial army in the area, so the new commander Hatzfeld had to rebuild it from scratch. Reinforcements from Bohemia, Hungary and Silesia brought his numbers to 12,000, but those were untrained and badly equipped troops, so Hatzfeld asked the emperor for more troops. Ferdinand III pleaded with Bavarian Elector Maximilian I to help, and the latter sent a letter to Mercy ordering him to send a portion of his force.
Wow.
Indeed, General Werth and his 5,000 soon joined Hatzfeld at Pilsen, where the new imperial commander was trying to weld his soldiers into a real army. However, Torstensson wasn't going to give his foes the time they needed, and began his campaign months earlier than expected, on January 19th. The Swedes moved into Bohemia via Pretznitz 5 days later, completely surprising Hatzfeld and crushing a few of his outposts in the process. Unfortunately for Torstensson, he fell ill, which slowed down the advance. That and the thawing allowed...
I'm actually excited to see Torstensson back in action again. Because, he had some, big boots to fill, from, the king. So, I'm sure he wants to, prove himself and everything. So I'm sure he's, raring to go here and can't wait for a battle. So I just hope he doesn't be, too swift and doesn't, make a mistake here. But it's raring up for an epic battle here, guys.
He fell ill, which slowed down the advance.
Yeah,
that and the thawing allowed the Imperials to somewhat recover. Still, when the Swedes passed them from the east on the 18th of February, Hatzfeld was in a difficult position, as Torstensson could have attacked either Prague or Vienna. It became clear that the Swedish commander was going for the capital of the empire, and Hatzfeld force-marched his men south, managing to reach the town of Horeș-Devița first on the 25th.
Wow.
This allowed him to secure the crossings of the Votava River. For 4 days straight, The Swedes attempted to cross by attacking head-on and by attempting a feigned retreat, but nothing worked. So on March 2nd, Torstensson moved west, which made the Imperials abandon their positions and pursue him. Once again, the Swedes were slower, as Hatzfeld double-timed his soldiers to take positions at
It seems like Torstensson, he's trying to get a head-on battle here, but you know he can't get it. But then the Catholics are kind of they're trying to avoid them getting like certain towns or something. I'm not sure. I guess they're just waiting for the right time to to engage. I don't know.
The Swedes were slower, as Hatzfeld double-timed his soldiers to take positions at Tabor.
Yeah, like Hatzfeld, you know, he doesn't want a head-on-head engagement, so he wants to engage when I guess he has a fortification, where he's behind a castle or something, right? And so he kind of has to hurry up and jump around, and try and hopefully that he does get a place for fortification, and then the Swedish commander attacks him there because he doesn't want a one-on-one open battle. He also doesn't want the Swedish the Sweden leader to I guess get certain like important outposts or towns or whatnot. So kind of a crazy game of cat and mouse here.
Indeed, on the 4th of March, the tired Imperial army was in the town with the Swedes to the northwest. With no time to lose, Hatzfeld moved to the north again, this time establishing a defensive position near the village of Jankau. Soon, Torstensson was in the area.
Here we go. Yeah. It looks like he has, but let me see here. Let's pause for a sec. I mean, yeah, he's got his position he wanted, and I guess he's got the town, so where he got some fortification, and I guess we're gonna get the battle we've been waiting for, obviously, because it's a town, and it's the name of the video. So, but here we go, guys. This is the exciting part. We get to see, what kind of tactics each is going to employ here,
Torstensson was in the area. At this point in the war, both armies liked to send cavalry detachments to raid and counter-raid, so when large concentrations happened, the armies were unusually cavalry-heavy. The Imperials had 11,000 horsemen across 50 squadrons, and 5,000 footmen in 6 brigades, supported by 26 guns. Although the Swedish army was similar in terms of the numbers, it was far superior in terms of training, equipment, unit cohesion, and most importantly, unlike Hatzfeld, Torstensson had the complete obedience of his subordinates. The latter also had artillery advantage with 60 guns, alongside 6,000 infantry.
That is huge. The fact that you have trained troops and they're there for you. Like, there's not going to be any like back and forth. There's not going to be any confusion. So he's got two huge things going for him with the trained troops and absolute loyalty. So that's going to be huge in this, against Green Army, who probably haven't a lot of them probably haven't seen like a battle of this scale before that they're about to face. So let's see how big of a that big of a whatever that that helps the Swedes.
Also had artillery advantage with 60 guns, alongside 6,000 infantry in 8 brigades and 10,000 cavalry in 47 squadrons. On the afternoon of the 5th of March, the Swedish army approached the Kotysanka River. Their commander ascended to the top of Hill 554 to observe the enemy. His counterpart occupied a great defensive position among the hills and woods, which limited the Swedish artillery advantage and made any frontal cavalry charge impossible, so Torstensson had to think of a better plan.
So I'm guessing, like, because you can't really tell by the map here, like they have forests and stuff, but you can't really tell by this, I mean, unless this is all like forest right here or right here. And so, yeah, I guess you can't really see what's going on here. So, he picked a, picked a good position up here. So well, I guess we'll see what their plan is. Maybe they'll go. I don't know. I'm not going to make any assumptions because then I'll just sound probably dumb. So we're just going to get on with the.
Torstensson had to think of a better plan. Around 5 a.m. the next morning, part of his right-wing cavalry joined him on the hill and then turned left and started marching north. Hatzfeld was informed of this and deduced that although his left flank was more vulnerable, the Swedes would attack from his right. Meanwhile, the rest of the Swedish army reformed in the dark into columns, with infantry on the left, cavalry in the centre, and guns and baggage on the right, and started moving to the south. Swedish cavalry to the north was making much more noise, but Hatzfeld was still not sure about his left flank. The highest elevation in the area was Chapel Hill to the southwest of his position, and the Imperial leader probably wanted to use this high ground to get a better idea of what the Swedes were up to. However, it is not clear if the commander of the left wing, Gotz, was ordered to move his entire force to occupy Chapel Hill, or just create a forward outpost there. Hatzfeld himself went to his right flank to conduct a personal reconnaissance, which basically left his army leaderless. Gotz either misunderstood the directive, or decided that it was a good moment to show his disobedience, so he started moving the first echelon of the Imperial left towards Chapel Hill. While most
Look at that already, man. The confusion of their army and like the disobedience, So like, my God, like what I was saying is already becoming a huge factor because man, they might lose a giant battle before it really even begins here if he's wrong. Let's see.
The first echelon of the Imperial left towards Chapel Hill. While most of the troops marched slowly, the dragoons were double-timed with orders to occupy the elevation. They established themselves on the hill, but around 7:30 a.m. the Swedish vanguard was in the area, and the dragoons fled without offering any resistance, soon informing Gotz. The latter concluded that his foes were trying to get their own forward outpost, and continued towards Chapel Hill. Simultaneously, Hatzfeld finally started to understand that Torstensson had tricked him, and no attack was coming from the right. He personally galloped towards Gotz to inform him that the Swedes would attack from the south or southwest, but when he reached the left flank, he only found the second echelon under Pompei, and these troops were also going for the elevation.
Oh my God.
Enraged, the Imperial commander rode to find Gotz. Although Gotz moved fast,
Man, Gotts, dude, man, you're like, wow. This is setting up to be a disaster. Like, look, he's splitting up his army, and basically, Hasfeld's pissed off here. He's trying to find them, and they might catch themselves in a vulnerable position because look how many men the Swedes have. I mean, they split up. I mean, they could surround him, and this could be over because they're leaderless back here. They don't got nobody. I mean. At least, not that I don't think they have anybody who's just going to move, because I don't know if you can see, what's going on between these kind of two armies. So, Sweden might just wipe this entire army out, like half the army out before, and these guys might not even know anything about it. I don't know. We're going to find out, but man.
Gotz. Although Gotz moved fast, he didn't scout the terrain ahead, and had no idea that the Swedes had already formed up on the hill and to the west of it. At 8:15, he ended up around the village of Nozakov, and almost immediately his disjointed units were attacked by the enemy. That was the moment when Hatzfeld at last found his unruly underling. Gotz was ordered to retreat, but began to argue and insisted that they needed to retake Chapel Hill. It is not clear if Hatzfeld was persuaded, or just decided that the only way to save his wayward left was to bring the whole army to the area, but he started galloping towards his main forces.
Wow.
Gotz's troops were attacking, but these attacks were disorganized and easily repelled by the Swedes. As their artillery arrived at Chapel Hill, they started sending deadly volleys against the Imperials.
This Guts guy had like a dang death wish, man. Like, unless you can't see the numbers, or he's just, I don't want to say any bad words, but man, I don't get it. Like, yes, he wants to prove himself, and he must hate Headsville. Like he wants to be disobedient. Like it's almost like he's purposely, trying to fail, kind of. But he's not. Maybe he's just he wants the glory, and he thinks maybe I don't know one of those. No, he has one of those I'm invincible kind of deals. I don't know, but I don't get this at all. If it's like, come on, dude, man. This is why you need complete loyalty, and you need like communication, and of course his troops aren't the best trained. I mean, disaster right now. Wow, not the battle I was expecting. I mean, and the Catholics, they had the better position. They had the hill back there, and they were going to hold it. They had a plan. Their plan just went out the window right now, man. And now you have Sweden like the best ground, like the best, you know. This is messed up. I don't know what else to say.
Artillery arrived at Chapel Hill. They started sending deadly volleys against the Imperials. Ever stubborn, Gotz refused to retreat, and his charismatic personality held his troops together for some time, despite all the losses. However, around 9 a.m., Gotz was killed by musket fire, and that broke his troops.
I mean, I'm sorry. He had it coming, guys. I'm sorry he had it coming. I mean, he was being foolish. I'm sorry being foolish. I mean, just from what they're telling me, right? I just think, what was he doing? I mean, what do you expect? Jeez. I mean, Huntsfeld, he's got to be livid and pissed, man. Like, is he going to retreat? I mean, I know he's probably not, but he's got to regroup, man. He's got to regroup somehow and, like, turn things around.
Gotz was killed by musket fire, and that broke his troops. Swedish cavalry started pursuing them, but by that time, the Imperial footmen under Zuis were able to form a defensive line in the woods to the south of Nozikov. The cavalry charge was repelled, but as Zuis's infantry had to move fast, they left their artillery behind, and now were under withering artillery fire from the Swedes. Unlike Gotz, Zuis wasn't too proud to retreat, and quickly repositioned in the forest to the northeast. Torstensson smelled blood and was eager to destroy the enemy here and now, so he sent part of the cavalry to take Hill 535, which threatened the south of the Imperial infantry. Fortunately for the latter, Hatzfeld soon arrived and reformed what remained of Gotz's cavalry. He then repositioned to the south of Zuis just in time to repel the first attack by the Swedish squadrons. Now that the entirety of Torstensson's army was between Chapel Hill and Hill 535, he attacked Zuis head-on and reinforced his right flank to push Hatzfeld, who was in turn reinforced by Wirth's left flank cavalry. The initial...
I want to say this right now. I'm very impressed with Hatzfeld right now, how he came back and got his troops back together, and it seems like, it's not the disaster I was kind of expecting. And so, I'm going to give him props for getting his men in position and, kind of coming up with a plan here. And seems like a pretty good defense right now. I mean, I could be wrong, but let's find out.
Who was in turn reinforced by Wirth's left flank cavalry. The initial Swedish attack in the centre was repelled, as part of Wirth's cavalry charged from the flank, but the Swedes continued, and slowly but surely, the Imperials were pushed back by their superior arms and guns. It was impossible for Hatzfeld to continue his resistance, so by noon he ordered the army to disengage and retreat to the north. Although the Swedes attempted to chase their foe, Wirth managed to use his cavalry to expertly cover the escape. The Swedes showed their excellent discipline and formed up in their initial alignment with cavalry on the wings and with the centre consisting of infantry and cavalry. They captured some of the artillery lost by the enemy and placed it on Hill 537 alongside their own, with the baggage train behind the main army. Despite the fact that his army was clearly the winner of the battle, Torstensson wasn't eager to chase the enemy across broken terrain, so he decided to allow the Imperials to flee.
Wow. Wow. I guess,
the RPG mobile hit of 2019.
Man, he let him go, but man, he won the battle, but it wasn't a slaughter or anything, The Imperials, they lived to see another day. And yeah, I mean, they still have a pretty good sized army of a group, and so I wonder how this is going to play out here. But definitely the experience in troops, it was huge there for sure.
So he decided to allow the Imperials to flee. Meanwhile, Hatzfeld was worried that his battered army would not survive a fighting retreat, so he was going to wait until sunset in order to avoid the Swedes. To that end, his troops formed up between Jankau and Herzin, where he had previously erected 1-meter-high fortifications. On the left, he had Wirth's mostly intact Bavarian cavalry, with Bruy commanding whatever was left of Gotz's cavalry and the 2nd Echelon cavalry from the centre on the right, with an infantry brigade joining them. In the centre, he positioned 5 infantry brigades and Kallenberg's Saxon cavalry reserve alongside his artillery. He now had just 9 guns and had no chance to survive any artillery duel, so he hoped the uneven forest terrain would cover his army. The Imperials also claimed Hill 548 as a forward outpost. The Swedish commander learned about the new Imperial disposition and concluded that he couldn't leave a strong enemy in his rear and march for Prague or Vienna, so around 1 PM he sent 400 musketeers with 10 cannons to take Hill 548. The German infantry unit occupying it retreated without offering any resistance. Hatzfeld rebuked Zuis and Bruy for allowing it to happen. After ordering them to retake the hill, he returned to Herzin. And once again, his instructions were misunderstood, and his captains sent almost their entire force to take the hill, a disproportionate response that took them out of their great defensive position, to say the least.
Man, I feel so bad for Hatzfeld, man. Man, shoot your damn commanders and promote new ones, because these guys don't know what they're doing. Like twice now they had the better position, fortified position, and his commanders just, oh my god. I'm frustrated for him. Oh my god. What's going to happen? They're going to get bogged down up here, and these guys... Oh my god.
Obviously this counterattack succeeded, and the Imperials drove back the musketeers and captured all 10 guns. However, this action showed Torstensson that the enemy was still in the area in full force. He immediately sent his left under Douglas and centre under Mortenia, while Wittenberg's right was left as the reserve, with guns on Hill 537 providing artillery support. Indeed, the fact that the Swedes had artillery on that hill was a great surprise for the Imperials. Artillery just wasn't as mobile during that period, and the fact that it was moved into new positions so quickly proved the professionalism of the Swedish army. Torstensson was adding a new military tactic that would become key in the next centuries. For the Imperials, this professionalism meant death, as Swedish artillery killed hundreds with each volley, especially among the Imperial right. Indeed, when Douglas's horse attacked here, they easily dispersed the enemy, breaking them and sending them into full flight, while Bruy was killed. The Swedes weren't as successful in the centre, as the high ground allowed the Imperial footmen to dig in, and the guns they had captured were effective, so Mortenya's charge here was stopped, and the two sides were then locked in a bitter melee.
Damn.
The Imperial left flank was relatively unscathed, and was ordered to attack Torstensson's right side. Wittenberg didn't expect this attack, and it took his troops by surprise. Most of the first echelon was routed, while the second was now chased by Wirth, who was probably eager to destroy it and then swing back north. During the chase, the Swedes retreated close to their baggage train, and that was too tempting for the Imperial troops. They allowed the Swedes to slip away and started looting. The wives of the Swedish officers were captured here, including Torstensson's wife. Eventually, 5 squadrons attempted to continue the chase, but by that time the Swedes had reformed their ranks. Their counterattack began around 2:30 and was fast and furious. The Bavarians didn't expect that and were completely routed in a matter of minutes. This proved to be too much to the least disciplined part of the Imperial army. The Saxons just recently joined the Habsburg cause and just weren't as invested. Immediately after the left wing was crushed, Kallenberg ordered his horsemen to leave the field, abandoning Zeus's infantry to their fate. Hatzfeld's only remaining cavalry attempted to wheel around the centre and attack the Swedish centre from behind, but Mortenya had enough reserves to block them, and soon Douglas sent reinforcements who crushed this detachment. Hatzfeld's infantry was surrounded on Hill 548. Although they managed to defend for an hour, soon it was all over. The battle was very bloody, and the winners lost 2,000 dead and as many wounded, while the Imperial casualties were more than 10,000, half of them prisoners, including Hatzfeld and many other officers. The inability of the Imperial commanders to strike an accord, alongside the superiority of the Swedish troops and officers, proved to be too much for the Habsburg army to overcome. The road to the Habsburg capital was open, with Torstensson seemingly closer to complete victory than his late king Gustavus Adolphus ever was. But not everything was so simple, and our next episode will...
I guess I'll finish this off real quick. I didn't realize it was at the end.
But not everything was so simple, and our next episode will prove it. So make sure you are subscribed to...
Okay. Well... Torstensson, man, his army is legit, man. I mean, the late king would be proud, man. Wow. But I felt like, Hatzfeld, I thought, like, he did really good. Obviously, not really good, but I thought, with what he had, I guess he thought he did really good. And I thought, if his officers just listened to him, I thought that they could have won that battle. Like, had a good chance to win that battle, but they just shot themselves in the foot, and they're, I guess his officers, a lot of his officers didn't like him. It was like they almost wanted him to lose, just like, they had somebody against him. They just wanted him to lose. So I don't know, man. That was a crazy battle. It was almost like it went like full circle, it started off over here and it came back around. And that was crazy. For a second there, I thought the Imperials were gonna, when they routed the baggage, like, wow, they're gonna take, maybe take a bunch of prisoners here and get out of Dodge, maybe. But no, I mean, I guess they got greedy once again with that baggage, and then they reformed. The Swedes reformed. Their cavalry came down, crushed them, and then joined up with the rest of the army and surrounded them, crushed them again. I mean, Hatzfeld's not dead. He's a prisoner, so I'm assuming he's not gonna take place anymore in this war, unless they kind of, I guess, prisoner exchange, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, definitely a crazy battle. That was nice. That was a nice long one. Very interesting. And I really do like the battles that aren't just like, bam, done. I like the kind of like, I don't know, the smarts that go into it from each side, the counter attacks, what each side does when, so I find that stuff really interesting. And so this battle definitely had a lot of that. But I mean, had a lot of that, but a lot of it was because Haspel had to do that because his stupid officers didn't want to obey him. But anyways, guys, please like and subscribe. I hope you liked this episode. I thought it was a really good one. And then obviously it's not as easy as Swedes kicking butt right there and going home to celebrate. Obviously, they ensue that. We got some more issues about to come up here, and looks like they're gonna have a lot more bigger battles ahead. It seems like. So, I hope to catch you guys in the next episode. Once again, another awesome episode by Kings and Generals. Like I said, like I always say, check their channel out. I mean, they're amazing. And then we're on to next battle. I'm not sure. It's the same. It's the same year though, so it's kind of like it seems like right after. It seems like I'm not sure where that is either. And then oh wow, that'll be the after. So we only have actually a few episodes left, guys. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Always a blast. Always happy to have you here. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. Hit that like and subscribe if you haven't. And yes, catch you guys in future videos. Peace. I am out of here. Lots of fun.